Welcome. We are talking about the consequences of inaction. This is going to be a powerful training. I can't wait to bring you in. I've got some folks over here. We're going to do admit all. Good morning. Good morning. Lori and Kelly. I think I lost a couple in the waiting room. Hello, Miss Kelly. Here comes Deb. So if you're watching the replay, we've got 2 minutes till we're going to start. And so you can hit the little fast forward button if you'd like to. Good morning, Deb. Oh, my screen is wonky there. Everybody getting excited for the 4th of July weekend? Yes. All right. So I'm going to, do I live stream this? I think I will. Into our Facebook group. Let's see. Not on my timeline. Don't you always get scared? You're like, oh, where did I go live? That is like one of those moments where you're like, oh no, please. Or when you can't find your live and then you're like, oh great, it's because I went live on my personal profile. I didn't mean to. All right, we are live streaming. I'm going to keep admitting people. Here comes Sarah. All right. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We have 1 more minute until we're starting. This is Thursday, Real Talk with Gail. I try to do this every Thursday morning, unless something like being on an airplane prevents me, or I'm teaching one of my live challenges, which is coming up the week of July 17th. Make note in your calendar. You're going to be getting the registrations are coming out. You'll start getting emails and posts about that this week. But today is called the consequence of inaction. I think this is the Lord's given me some powerful, I believe, awarenesses for myself that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. And I believe it's just one of those things that you're going to be chewing on for a while. So it's 10:30 and we're going to get started. All right, little paper, stay right there. Okay, let's say a prayer. Lord, thank you so much for these kingdom-minded women in business. Thank you as believers in business that we long to partner with you because your word says you want to partner with us as we go out to build wealth. Why would we want to build wealth, Lord? Not just to receive blessing for our own family, which you want us to receive blessing for our own family, but so that we can pour out. And in business, Lord, success, you tell us, is that hallmark that draws people to us. And so, Lord, thank you, because as we get more free, as we break off bondage that we are in, when it comes to daily inaction, you set us free to step into the courage and the fullness of what you're calling us to. And that's what we are longing for, Lord, just that intimacy with you, to partner with you so that we can step into the fullness of what you have for us. So thank you for each woman listening, for each woman here. May you speak powerfully into her heart this day. In your precious name, we thank you. Amen. All right. So I was kind of laughing with the Lord when I came up with a topic for today, the consequence of inaction. And I realized, okay, this is no coincidence that we're heading into the 4th of July weekend. Now, all of you listening might not be in the United States of America, but it is our 4th of July weekend. We celebrate the independence of the celebration of the formation of our country, and it was founded on freedom. And when we think about the connection between our country being founded on freedom and Jesus dying to set us free, you can really see in a spiritual way the power of freedom. Conversely, we can see when we're bound, the consequences of that. And what I'm going to be talking about today is probably going to be a little bit uncomfortable. It's certainly uncomfortable for me. But what I know today is when we hear some things that are uncomfortable, it is always for our good. It's to teach us, to grow us. We don't change and grow when we're comfortable. I'm not saying that we shouldn't that the Lord doesn't delight in us having peace and comfort in our lives. However, you can be, what we really want is to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Can I say that again? What we really want is to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And yes, you can learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because what we're really saying is, Lord, I trust you that this stage I'm going through of feeling uncomfortable is for my good, that you are moving in me and I am growing and I am changing. Therefore, I will have hope and joy in this season of feeling uncomfortable, or even in this moment of feeling uncomfortable. So when we talk about the consequences of inaction, really, inaction is bondage. Whenever we make a decision not to do something that we know either we are called to do, we should do, we said we were going to do, we are bound. Now, what's binding us is probably a little bit different for all of us, but things like fear of what someone's going to think, fear of what someone's going to say, fear of failing at it. These are that's a fear is binding you, binding me, therefore causing us to not take action. So taking a look at whenever something comes up and you find yourself being unwilling or afraid to do something, ask yourself, okay, what is binding me right now? What is it? What is the fear? What is the worry? What is speaking to me, telling me that I either shouldn't, can't, don't have time for? What is the lie that I'm falling into? Because what I'm here to talk to us about today is, I believe that truly looking at the consequences of inaction, it's painful. So we don't want to look at it. Who wants to look at things that are painful? Who wants to have things be reminded or bring up things that are painful? We don't. We want to avoid pain. So we make excuses. And the excuses, because we want to make light so we don't have to go to the pain. So we say things like, okay, let's say you said, I'm going to do 5 reach outs today. And then the day's gotten long, it's gotten hard, and you're like, you know what? I'm not doing it today. And so now this is when we start to justify, start make excuses about why we're not going to take action. So we say things like, I'm just too tired. I just don't have time. No one wants to hear from me anyway. It's the holiday weekend. I'm going to blow it off because no one wants to hear from me during the holiday weekend. You hear where I'm going with this? We make excuses to justify to what? Make us feel better. But is it really making us feel better? No, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a wound, and that wound is not going to heal. As a matter of fact, that wound is going to fester and probably get more infected. So what happens is when we really, because really what's happening is, if I say I'm going to do something today in my business, I'm just going to use that as an example right now. If I say I'm going to do something in my business today and I don't follow through and do it, I can say, well, nobody knows but me. But the truth is, if we really want to be honest and we really want to look at the truth, what I'm saying is I'm not trustworthy. I know that's painful to hear, but is that not what we're telling ourselves? When I make a commitment in the morning to take an action, and I'll just go back to the 5 reach outs a day, right? If I make a commitment in the morning to reach out to 5 women and I make excuses throughout the day, too tired, this happened, this interfered, all the things that I talked about. So if I make those excuses, what I'm really saying is I'm not trustworthy. I'm not a woman of my word. Ouch. Right? And then you might be like, Gail, that's a little dramatic. Is it? Is it? This is where I think the enemy wants to come in and tell you that it's no big deal. Do it tomorrow. But I'm here to suggest, I think it is a big deal because I think Jesus wants us free. And the freedom comes when we are able to overcome that momentary fleeting desire to say, forget it. I'm not doing it today and make the excuse. If we would just overcome that feeling and say, you know what? I've made a commitment to doing this. I'm doing it. You're stepping into freedom. You're breaking off the bondage of the lie that you either don't have time or you're not equipped or no one wants to hear from you, all lies. And you're going to say, no, I'm doing this. It's going to take me 15 minutes. I'm going to be done in 15 minutes. Then you are set free. Now you're trustworthy. You're a woman of your word. You followed up. You did the thing. You did not cave and remain bound in the fear or the lie. You stepped in because the consequence of that inaction is much bigger, I'm suggesting, than what we want to believe. Because a shame starts to build. A voice that says, you can't do this. Here you go again, saying you're going to do this and you didn't do it. You didn't follow through. You're not a woman of your word. You're not trustworthy. How are you going to build a business, right? So this is, and I believe those voices, every time we do not take the action, that there are real big, ugly consequences, and it's bondage. It's bondage. And Jesus came to set us free. And I believe that stepping into the action that you said you were going to do is that freedom. How many of you know when you have that moment when you're like, okay, I made that commitment this morning to do those 5 reach outs, and I know I don't want to do them. There's no part of me that wants to do these, that wants to follow through. All the voices are saying, you don't have enough time. They don't want to hear from you anyway. Just forget it. Do it tomorrow. And you're like, no, I'm not listening to that. And you do it anyway. How many of you know how amazing that feels when you follow through and you do it anyway? It is an amazing feeling. And that positive feeling is what we want to make a habit. You want to step into that saying, I am an action taker. This is one of my coaches. I am an action taker. I am an action taker. Step into that. You know, I had my son was listening to a podcast. I didn't even ask him who it was, but this is perfect for this moment. So he's talking to me. He's 23 years old and he's so cute. He's always trying to, personal development. He's always trying to learn and do stuff. And he says to me, Mom, I'm listening to this podcast. And the guy's interviewing someone. And he asked the person, what is the one emotion? If you could only have one emotion, what would be that one emotion you'd want to strive for? And the person thought for a minute. And then they said, happiness. And the guy started laughing. And he said, that is the last one you should be choosing. And the person's like, what? What do you mean it's the last one I should be choosing? He said, because happiness is fleeting. Happiness is dependent on circumstances. What you really want is to feel, I'm going to switch the word, but this is what the meaning was. You want to feel confident in the morning when you wake up. The guy said pride. You want pride. You want to be proud of the woman that you are today. When you wake up in the morning, if you did what you said you were going to do yesterday and you did it, you're waking up with a sense of confidence. Like, I'm proud of myself. I did what I said I was going to do yesterday. And now you got that sense of, I want to do this again today. I'm not bound anymore. I am free today to take the action so that I can continue this blessed feeling of knowing that God has given me the courage, the wisdom, and the ability to carry out what I've been called to do. So let's look at a couple other things. When we say, I don't have time to meal prep, let's say you want to lose some weight, or not even really maybe lose weight. Let's say you just want to start eating healthier, right? So you go to the grocery store and you shove a bunch of fruits and vegetables in your refrigerator. Like that's gonna work, right? Well, what happens if you don't kind of prep those fruits and vegetables and kind of make a little bit of a plan about when you're going to eat them? What happens? They go bad real fast, don't they? How many of you have thrown away some fruits and vegetables in your life? Can I get an amen? Right? I know you're all laughing, right? So the consequence of inaction, if we just would have taken 15 minutes to take those fruits and vegetables, chop them up, put them in the Ziploc, put them in the Tupperware, put them in the whatever, mason jars, whatever it is you do, 15 minutes. What would then have happened? Now you would have had them ready. You would have been much more likely to unscrew that jar and eat that celery or carrots or whatever you'd prepped or fruit that you had cut and prepped. Now you're all ready to go into a smoothie, or they're all ready. The veggies are all chopped and ready to go into your saute pan at night. You would be so much more likely to be eating those fruits and veggies. But no, we say, I don't have time to do that. And then what happens? We throw away the fruits and vegetables, and then we feel guilty. We feel ashamed. We feel embarrassed. We're wasting money. We're throwing it away. And what this whole training is about is there's consequences emotionally to that inaction, that choice not to spend 15 minutes on those fruits and vegetables that you just invested in. The consequences are much bigger, I believe, than what we allow ourselves to think. What I do is I throw those fruits and vegetables away, and I want to like hide them underneath something in the garbage can because I'm embarrassed, right? I'm embarrassed that, my husband doesn't eat spinach. I buy the big thing of spinach, and if it starts to go bad and I throw it away, I'm like embarrassed. So I want to hide it in the bottom of the garbage can. There's shame, right? Because I didn't steward well. Now, listen, you guys might be like, really? Is she talking to us about fruits and vegetables? No, I'm not. I hope you're seeing the bigger picture here. I'm talking to us about the feelings that get evoked when we do not take the action that we know we have the ability, we have the time to take. But conversely, when we do take the action, what we are really doing is stepping into freedom. We are stepping into freedom. And that is what Jesus died to give us. And it is powerful. It is energizing. It is confidence building. Well, don't you love that version of confidence, right? Because really, confidence is kind of self-generated. Godfidence is knowing that I am walking in my true identity. I have all the time I need. I have all the equipment that I need. I have all the resources that I need. And I can do and remain the woman of my word and take the action that I said I would take. Because really, if you think about it, back to my fruits and vegetables, if we are standing in the produce section and we fill the cart with fruits and vegetables, really what we're saying is, I'm going to steward these fruits and vegetables. I'm going to take care of these fruits and vegetables and get them into my body, right? So the consequences of not doing that, the shame, the guilt, the lies, I'm not trustworthy. Now, here's another one. Forgiveness or making a phone call. So let's say there's like somebody in your life where you really need to forgive them, but you're believing the lie that they don't deserve to be forgiven, or you just can't forgive them. The truth is, yes, we can forgive them right now today. Is it hard sometimes to forgive? Absolutely. But did God call us to forgive? Yes. So when we don't take the action of forgiving, what are the consequences of that? Wow. Heavy consequences from not forgiving. Bondage, pride, resentment, anger, and it festers. It overflows into all of our relationships. So make the call, forgive. And if you're not willing to, at least be willing to say, I realize that there are some big consequences to my inactions. If you get anything out of this today, my prayer is that what you're hearing is, there are much bigger consequences to my inaction than I have been willing to admit to myself. Because if you will start being willing to admit just that, then what you're doing is opening the door and saying, God, please show me these consequences of my inaction, because that will be a great motivator to say, I don't want to stay in that bondage anymore. I do not want to let the shame grow, the lie grow that I'm not enough, that once again, I didn't follow through. Because when we partner with God, you have the ability and the courage and his power to say, I will not listen to that anymore. I will take that action today. And here's the deal, you guys. One day at a time, one task at a time, one action at a time. So your challenge today is, when we get off this call, I want you to open up your calendar and I want you to write down maximum 3 things, and they've got to be doable. So you're going to write down 3 things that you're going to do today. It might be, some of you are like, oh my gosh, well, I'm running to my refrigerator and I'm cutting up my fruits and vegetables, right? It doesn't matter what it is. And here's the deal. Let's say you got something really big and you know it's going to take a lot of time and effort. And it's so big that you just like, I can't even deal with it, Gail. I can't even start. So my prayer for you is that you would be willing to do just this. Set a timer for 15 minutes to work on it, just for 15 minutes. You are going to be amazed at how you feel at the end of that 15 minutes, because you stepped into it. And Zechariah 4:10, the Lord delights in our small beginnings, because he knows how difficult it was for you to make that commitment to step into action and stop the pattern of inaction, because the consequences are too great. The bondage is too heavy. And he has promised us, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. So when we are feeling overwhelmed and burdened, it is not from the Lord. So he wants us free. And I believe when we take action on the most important things, we gain a level of freedom that is palatable. Like we could chew on it. It's so satisfying. It's more satisfying than any chocolate fudge brownie with vanilla ice cream on top. It is so satisfying when we step into that action and we say, I can, with what, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. With Christ, we can do all things. So stop the lies of I can't, I'm afraid, I don't have time, I'm not enough. Stop the lies. Cut them off. Take it captive. Throw it down and say, I am free. I am capable. I am a daughter of the King. I can step into this today. Now, I said 3 things. So 3 things. And my challenge for you is come back into this. So we're live streaming right now in the Kingdom Dream Chasers Facebook group. So come back into the group. If you're watching the replay, do #replay, but let us know I did it. And this is what happened. This is how I felt. It like broke off shame. It broke off the lie that I can't, I'm not enough, that forget it. What does it matter anyway? Broke off the lie. Here's another example that I do with my clients. Like one of my clients said, they have a dining room and it's kind of become the catch-all. Anything that like she wants out of the kitchen, she throws it on the dining room table. Anything she wants out of the office, she throws it on the dining room table. A package comes, she doesn't deal with it yet, she throws it on the dining room table. Christmas decorations still sitting on the dining room table. Now it's gotten so overwhelming. The consequences of inaction are burden, overwhelm, stress. We are creating it. We are creating the stress. So she says, okay, but Gail, I don't even want to go in there. I can't even go in there. So I said, will you set a timer today, just for 15 minutes? I don't care if it doesn't feel like you've made a dent in it. Will you just for 15 minutes go in there, pick something up and go take it to where it belongs? Put it in that closet, that cabinet, that shelf, the garbage can, the donation pile, wherever it's supposed to go. Pick it up, take it there, and then come back. Touch everything only one time. Pick it up, take it where it goes, and come back for 15 minutes. Will you do that? Yes. If I can tell you the chain reaction that starts of energy, of excitement that, oh my gosh, I can do this. I am someone who can take care of this. I am someone who doesn't going to put my head in the sand anymore and block this out. All right. So the consequences of it, it's just too great. It's bondage. And we are creating the bondage. Jesus came to set us free. And this weekend is all about freedom in the United States of America. And I pray that you will cling to that and look at personal freedom and the choices that you will be making that are different. So I can't wait. I'm going to do this too. I'm promising right now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick 3 things today that are kind of feeling overwhelming. I'm going to write them down and I'm going to just spend 15 minutes on each one. Just 3, pick 3. And then I'm going to come back into the Facebook group underneath this live and I'm going to share my results. Okay? Who's with me? If you're all in and you're on Zoom, say I'm with you. And if you are, do I have the chat open? No, you guys you're not chatting. There you go. But you can go to the Facebook group and type your results. All right. 3 things, just 3 things, 3 little things. Watch what happens. Mwah. Bye.